Coco Chanel was once a main French modernist designer, whose patterns of simplicity and fashion revolutionized women's clothing. She was the solely dressmaker to be listed in the Time 100 most influential human beings of the 20th century. Coco Chanel during the 1920s, in particular, Coco Chanel left a lasting mark on women's trend and design. Up till the First World War, women's apparel had been pretty restrictive and tended to contain full-length skirts which have been impractical for many activities. Coco Chanel helped create women's garb that used to be easier and greater practical. She additionally brought trousers and fits for female, something which had no longer been performed before. Fashion has ended up a joke. The designers have forgotten that there are ladies inner the dresses. Most ladies gown for guys in favor to be admired, but they should additionally be capable to move, to get into an automobile besides bursting their seams. Clothes need to have a herbal shape. Coco Chanel. She additionally created her well-known Chanel No. 5 scent, and this has ended up a lasting trademark. The early existence of Coco Chanel. Most sources recommend Gabrielle Chanel used to be born in 1883, although this was once a intently guarded reality, with Coco now not eager on revealing her start date. Her mom was once single and her upbringing was once marked through poverty and uncertainty. Aged 12, her mom died, and her father dispatched his 3 daughters such as Gabrielle to a convent in Carreze. Life in the spiritual group used to be strict and frugal, however she did research to sew and obtain a rudimentary understanding of developing clothes. At the age of 18, she left the convent and moved to Moulins. She received work as a seamstress and pursued a secondary profession singing at cabaret events. However, her singing was once no longer top adequate to allow a stage career. Around 1908, Chanel started an affair with Etienne Balsan, a prosperous aristocrat. This enabled Chanel to end up acquainted with many rich aristocrats and a distinct social circle. Early Chanel casual put on 1917 and 1913, with economic resource from a lover Arthur Capel, Chanel opened a boutique promoting stylish garments in Deauville. She made revolutionary use of jersey material, a manufactured material which proved beneficial in the course of the shortages of the First World War. She rapidly won a rising recognition for being on the forefront of fashion, and her preliminary success motivated her to begin any other save in Biarritz, which prospered as a venue for the rich for the duration of the First World War. By 1919, Chanel used to be able to open her first boutique in Paris on 31 Rue Cambon, at the coronary heart of the most elegant location of Paris. In 1919 I woke up famous. I'd in no way guessed it. If I'd regarded I used to be famous, I'd have stolen away and wept. I used to be stupid. I was once supposed to be intelligent. I used to be touchy and very dumb. Coco Chanel. Her Life, Her Secrets, 1971. Page 95. In the post-war period, she felt the want for a revolution in women's clothes. She commenced through freeing ladies from the bondage of the corset and inspired an informal, however stylish vary of clothes. With a black sweater and 10 rows of pearls, Chanel revolutionized fashion. Dior on Coco Chanel. The 1920s had been a considerable duration of liberation for women. It used to be a decade the place female acquired the vote in various Western countries. It was once additionally a time when female have been more and more viewed in professions and jobs before the reserve of men. Her trend symbolized some of these social and political changes. Significant objects of apparel Coco Chanel helped pioneer included the collarless cardigan jacket, the bias-reduced gown, labeled a Ford by using one critic due to the fact anyone had one, the shoestring shoulder strap, The floating night scarf, the sporting collectively of junk and actual jewels. Chanel sailor suit, Chanel in sailor's outfit, 1928. In 1938, she retired from the trend business. However, 16 years later, she made a decided comeback, after turning into fed up with seeing French trend emerge as dominated by using men. Her first post-war series was once no longer nicely acquired via the critics, however it proved immensely famous with the standard public. Rich and well-known female as soon as once more adopted the Chanel look, and she had proven her lasting have an effect on the industry. In order to be irreplaceable, one ought to usually be different. Coco Chanel, she prided herself on her amazing taste, trend and practicality blended with an recognition of what humans wanted. It was once this that made her the most recognizable identify in world fashion. Chanel _2.55 Chanel 2.55 Chanel used to be an innovator in many elements of fashion. She developed a new sort of jewelry which imitated plenty extra steeply priced jewelry. It enabled rich humans to hold their high-priced jewelry at home. In 1929, she developed the iconic Chanel bag. Like different Chanel creations, it blended beauty, trend and practicality. The skinny strap, enabling fingers to be stored free. In 1948, she up-to-date the plan to come to be the Chanel 2.55 Coco Chanel for the duration of World War II. At the begin of the Second World War in 1939, Chanel closed her shops, mentioning that battle used to be no longer a time for fashion. 3,000 of her employees misplaced their jobs. It used to be considered partly as retaliation for preceding conflicts with workers, the place her employees had sought higher wages and conditions. During the German occupation of Paris, Chanel used to be concerned in a romantic liaison with a German officer, Hans Gunther von Dinklage. This helped her to attain a luxurious condominium in the Ritz for the length of the war. Combined with her political beliefs which expressed anti-Semitism and sympathy for a range of elements of the German cause, Chanel's wartime file has been positioned beneath tons scrutiny. Biographer Hal Vaughan found declassified files which advised Chanel labored for General Walter Schellenberg, chief of SS intelligence. At the quit of the war, Schellenberg was once convicted of combat crimes and sentenced to 6 years. On his release, Chanel paid for his clinical treatment. Other declassified records indicates that in 1943-44 Chanel used to be used as a courier for the SS to pursue a separate peace deal with Churchill and the Allies. The format by no means succeeded. In September 1944, Chanel was once interrogated by way of the Free French Purge Committee, the Epuration. She used to be launched due to lack of evidence. Some sources advocate that Winston Churchill immediately intervened to make certain Chanel used to be launched. Churchill was once perchance involved that if dispatched to trial, Chanel would embarrass the authorities with her hyperlinks to top-ranking Nazis and sympathizers in the British establishment. In the local weather of post-war interrogations, Chanel moved to Switzerland, the place she resided till 1954. The post-war duration noticed the emergence of new male designers, such as Christian Dior, who started out to eclipse Chanel's branding. However, in 1954, she back to Paris and reopened her couture house. Her post-war label was once profitable in America and Britain, however much less so in France. Many Frenchmen endured to keep her combat report in opposition to her. Chanel in no way married or had children. During her life, she had severe relationships with influential men. This blanketed poet Pierre Reverdy and the dressmaker Paul Érive. Many biographers have stated that Coco Chanel stays an enigma, a existence full of contradiction and tough to verify her actual motives.